Ahead and hit record on this. Sorry, I missed out on the introduction, man. But we're gonna get the meat and potatoes inside inside this with the recording now. So, welcome welcome to the event, show, whatever you want to call it. Welcome, brother.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, yeah. So, brother, as I was saying yesterday, as we were preparing for this event, man, you are a reincarnation of TD Jakes, right? And I know people that are listening to this right now are tuning in. They may not know who TD Jakes is, man, but if you want some flavor to your spiritual life, you listen to TD. But now I'm like, oh man, there's a new version being reincarnated, and that's David A. Gethers, man. So I really mean it. You made a huge difference for me yesterday as we were preparing for this, and I'm excited to kind of unpackage more of your story today, brother. So, without further ado, let's dive into it. What was your military transition experience like?
Man, transitioning out of the military, it was difficult. And the reason I say that is because I was not prepared for the transition. My transition it was unceremoniously. For me, going into the military was a lifelong dream. I had my purpose was to be there for 20 years, change my life, become a new version of myself, and begin to live a life that I never thought, dreamed, or imagined. So 4 years into that career, I got injured, and my injury did not allow me to finish my military career. And for all the service men and women on the phone or on this call today, I'm quite sure we dread three words: unfit to become a Marine or a service member. And we all know what that means. That means we can't pass the physical, or we have an injury or something that prevents us from going on. Those words are detrimental to our mental health. And so hearing those words and them telling me that there's nothing else we could do for you, the injury is too bad, and sending me back to Chicago, sending me back to the place that I thought I had escaped, sending me back to the place where I thought I would never return, sending me back to the place that had little to offer me in the terms of hope and opportunity. And so going back to Chicago, man, I went back with a lot of rage. I went back with a lot of anger. I went back with disappointment. I went back feeling like a failure. And all of these things affected the decisions that I made. All of these things affected how I was living my life. They affected me in so many ways that I didn't even realize until it was all too late.
Mm, mm, yeah. So you went. So just so I'm clear, what got you? What came up to have you kind of get pushed out of the Marine Corps?
So I had reconstructive ulnar bone and nerve surgery on my right ulnar wrist and forearm.
Mm.
For most people, they have no idea what the ulnar bone and nerve is or what it even controls. In layman's terms, we call it the funny bone. And it's nothing funny about your ulnar nerve, nothing whatsoever. And this nerve, it goes from the base of your wrist, goes to your elbow, and then goes up to your shoulder. And this nerve basically controls the movement of your fingers, the movement of your wrist, the movement of your elbow, and the movement of your shoulder.
Mm.
And so mine was damaged. The bone itself was broken, and the nerve itself was partially torn, and it left me for about a year and a half unable to move my fingers, unable to really move my wrist. I was in a cast for about 11 to 12 months, and then I started a rigorous 3 to 6 months process of therapy. And at the end of all of that, it was, my fingers were still not moving properly, the elbow and the wrist and all of those things were still not moving properly. And so there was like, look, you can't be a soldier if you can't fight. You can't be a soldier if you can't use your weapon. You can't be a soldier if you cannot train. Mm. And so with that, it was like, we gotta let you go. We gotta We got to
Yeah.
cut you, and send you back to where you came from. You of no use to us any longer in the Marine Corps.
Mm.
And like I said, that was devastating to hear that, especially. And let's just move it further down the line. Here you are, a high school student, and all your life you dreamt of going to a certain college, or you dreamt of getting out of high school and going to get a certain job. You trained for this, you prepared for this, you have conversations about this, and all of a sudden you get it, or you may not get it. That's very crushing, because for the most of us, we don't really plan for an alternative, because this is what we had our sights set on from the very beginning. You have your sights set on this dream house, or this dream relationship, or this dream lifestyle, or this dream vehicle. We all are dreaming. I remember in grammar school when we was in like third or fourth grade, they would ask us, what do you want to be when you get older? And we will write it down, and we will begin to pursue fulfilling those dreams and those goals and those hopes throughout our lives. We're training to be on the football team or the basketball team or on the track team. We're going to school, preparing ourselves academically so that we can get into the school of our dreams. We're doing all the right things, making all the right decisions with the expectation that we're going to fulfill this dream or this goal that we have. But then all of a sudden, unbeknownst to us, maybe from a mistake, maybe from a mishap, maybe from a misfortune, that dream is shattered. That dream is like folded up and thrown away. That dream is denied. That dream is no longer right in front of us. And so now we have to regroup. Now we have to reformat how we're going to go about our lives. And none of us are exempt from having our dreams, our goals, or our hopes dashed or taken away from us because of mistakes, misfortunes, or mishaps.
Yeah, no, man. I definitely can visualize that. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are tuning in right now that can kind of identify with that in some way, shape, or form, right? Like, a kid from Chicago or a guy from St. Louis on my part, just joining the Marine Corps to kind of get out of your circumstances, just going after something that is more aspirational, something of like significance, right? And to kind of just have that pulled away from you. It's kind of just like, well, shit, man, like what's next, right? So I think we're in a good place, man, to kind of dive into what that transition experience was, right? I get that, like, you kind of got pushed out, right? Kind of just like got the uniform pulled off of you involuntarily due to your body, right? Just kind of breaking down on you, which sometimes it happens, right? But
Mm-hmm.
talk about not being prepared for the military transition, especially when you kind of just get the title pulled from you. I mean, you went through boot camp, you earned the title of Marine, so it's not like pulling the title from you. But I mean, it's like, yeah, I mean, you came into a very aspirational setting. Some would argue with that with the Marine Corps, but it was a cool setting, man. But talk about not being prepared and what that looked like, man, during your transition process.
So for me, not being prepared, it was in three aspects. One, the obvious, I wasn't prepared financially. I hadn't saved up any money. I didn't, in the Marine Corps, when we're 18, 19, 20 years old, come on. Are we thinking about tomorrow? No, all we're concerned about is the 1st and the 15th.
That's it.
We know that we're going to get a paycheck on the 1st of the month. We know we're going to get a paycheck on the 15th of the month. We don't have to worry about food, clothing, or shelter, because all of that is provided for us. So we're living these Marine Corps lives. We're indestructible. We're hard asses. We're wired to just take the world by storm. So who's saving money, right? So no money saved. Two, physically, now that I am disabled, due to my right arm, I'm like, okay, I'm not prepared for jobs. I'm not prepared for anything for that matter. And I'm definitely not prepared to be told I'm getting kicked out of the Marine Corps. I'm thinking, hell, y'all hurt me. Y'all gonna keep me until this thing is saw out all the way through. But
Right.
that wasn't the case. But more importantly, I was not prepared mentally. Again, I left Chicago because there was little in the terms of hope and opportunity.
Mm.
I left Chicago because I was looking for a better life to live. I left Chicago because I wanted something different for myself. And the Marine Corps was that option. The Marine Corps was that choice. My mother had prepared me for the military since I was a freshman in high school. She was like, look, I don't have no money to send you to college. You're either going to go to the military or you're going to get a job. She started preaching that to me my freshman year in high school. So I'm like, I'm going to the military.
Right.
I'm going to travel all over the world. I'm going to meet a whole bunch of people. It was the dream that I had that I expected to do for 20 years. So when I got out, I was angry. Again, I said I was angry. I was disappointed. I was frustrated. I was mad. I just had a whole heap of feelings on my shoulders, and I didn't know how to process them. I was walking around with a chip on my shoulder. So what happened was I got into an altercation with another young man. And the circumstances surrounding altercations, they're irrelevant. What's important is when I got into this altercation, I allowed all of this anger, all this frustration, all of these feelings, I allowed those feelings to escape at that one moment.
Mm.
And at that one moment, I took another individual's life. And the results of taking this individual's life, I received a 30-year prison sentence. So on September the 12th, 1998, the judge stated that my actions were horrible, stated that my actions were unnecessary, stated that my actions were uncalled for. And because of my actions, the judge gave me a 30-year prison sentence that is not scheduled to end until September the 12th, 2028.
Mm.
That is when this tragedy of mine is supposed to end. But thank God for God. Thank God for miracles. And thank God for second chances, because this tragedy, this nightmare, this horrible situation, it came to an end September the 12th, 2013. And that's when I was given an opportunity of a second chance and given an opportunity to make good on the promise that I had for my life moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. No, brother, I appreciate you getting raw, vulnerable, and real, because that's where the rubber hits the road, man, especially as far as healing and all that good stuff. So just want to thank you for getting real and raw and honest, brother, because that makes a difference. And I think we all can say that we've been in situations where we've been triggered anger, right? Especially being military people, right? We're just, you know, we can get really intense very quickly, right? And it can scare people. So I think we've all been there. Now, brother, you go from that to now potentially getting a second chance out, right? Walk us through that process, because that's kind of like another transition. In other words, man, one from getting out of the Marine Corps, now from being recarcerated, right? Getting out of that system. Kind of walk us through the process towards triumph. What did that look like, brother?
Oh man, so well, one, it started off rocky as hell. So here it is in my foolish mind. I'm thinking, okay, the judge has sentenced me to a certain amount of time in prison. I went there, I've done what the judge had asked me to do. And so it's my release date. I'm going to be released into society. I'm thinking I'm going to be welcomed back with open arms. I'm thinking that I'm going to have the freedom to live my life on my terms, any way I would like to live my life, and all would be good. Well, I got a rude awakening that morning, to say the least, to start out this new journey. As the guard is walking me to the front door, to the awaiting arms of my mother, my brother, and my sister, we're having a conversation. And this guard tells me, he said, Gethers, you'll be back in prison within 1 to 3 years. I was like, and so I gave him this look. I was like, huh?
Yeah.
And he proceeded to say three things to me that has fueled me for the last 10 years. He told me, he said, you ain't shit, you ain't gonna be shit, and you ain't gonna amount to shit. So you're gonna be back here within 3 years. And I was like, damn. And then so from there, of course, I go home, I'm with my family, I'm being celebrated, I'm being loved upon. And so I enrolled in college at Governor State University. And so now I'm hit with the second reality of incarceration. And Governor State University tells me that I cannot be a student because I have a Class X felon. And I'm like, I can't be a student. I can't get an education. I can't get a better life because I made a mistake 15 years ago. But needless to say, I went on to battle them and eventually became the student, became the vice president of the student senate, and eventually getting my bachelor's degree in communications. And so this last disappointment, this is a funny disappointment, but I'm gonna share it anyway. So the third part of this disappointment and this realization that transition isn't going to be as easy is when this woman told me that she didn't want to be in a relationship with me because I was an ex-felon. Not because I wasn't a good-looking guy, not because I wasn't intelligent, not because I wasn't nice or anything like that, simply because of my past. She was like, I don't want to be in a relationship with you. So I'm thinking, is this going to be the rest of my life? Do I have to always explain myself, or will people always view me as less than, or will I be marked for the rest of my life, unable to overcome this horrendous mistake that I made? And it began to affect me mentally because I started suffering from low self-esteem. I started suffering from security issues. I began to think that I wasn't worthy, or no one would ever find me worthy, and no one would ever give me a second chance. And so that in and of itself was a huge ordeal to go through for a span of like 2 to 3 years. But at the same time, all of that was fuel that was driving me to my success. Because in my mind, I said, I want people to have a different view, a different thought, a different narrative of who David A. Gethers is.
Yeah, no, I love that decision you made for yourself and didn't kind of give your worth and your value to the world, right? And I'm looking at the poll results, man. I don't know if you're looking at those as well, but like the people that are on the call, the majority of them, if in fact 100% that participated that are on the call have said neutral, somewhat in some areas, and then resigned in others, right? So like the people that are on this call right now, I want to ask you a question is where's guilt and shame from previous mistakes in your life impacting those other areas? How can you draw the parallels and in those areas of life that are, kind of feel heavy? Where are you bringing guilt and shame in areas of life, kind of like potentially dating life, building a family? I was just sharing with excuse me, David yesterday, that like sometimes I feel guilt and shame for now having a second kid on the way, and not feeling like I'm where I want to be as an entrepreneur in a lot of areas, right? So I don't know what that looks like for you, but we'd love to kind of have you post that inside the chat. And feel free to be vulnerable. We're being vulnerable. This is where kind of the rubber hits the road for everyone getting what they want to get in this event, right? So, and also, if you haven't already, make sure your guys are posting questions in the Q&A, because we'll wrap up with Q&A towards the end of this thing, and maybe even give a few of you who raise your hand here towards the end an option to come in and ask your question live to David, right? So we want to make sure we give that opportunity to you. Now, David, brother, back to you, man. Again, I appreciate you just being raw, real, and honest, man, as you are, right? Your heart's wide open, and that's what causes a lot of freaking healing, man. So I appreciate that. Now, I want to kind of dive into the ABCs, right? One thing that we promised inside of this fireside chat is we want to equip these people with ABCs of being victorious in their life. What does life look like now? And what are some of the ABCs that have you kind of break through those closed doors, hypothetically, right? That may close up against you based on those mistakes from the past.
Well, life for me now looks beautiful. This that old song said, I can see clearly now that the rain is gone. I can see clearly now that there's no more obstacles in my way. Now, I say that tongue in cheekly, but I'm living an amazing, beautiful life. I'm living a life that, one, I didn't think was possible because of my past mistakes. And truthfully speaking, two, that society did not think was possible because of my past mistakes. If you look at the recidivism rate of America, it's 72%. 72% recidivism rate, which means out of every 100 people getting out of prison, 72 of them go back to prison. Wow. 72. And society focused heavily on the 72 who goes back to prison. And because of that, they don't think that it's possible to take a tragedy, transform your life, and then become triumph. So where are the victories in my life? So I'm a part of the 28% that isn't readily talked about. I'm a part of the 28% that is not championed. I'm a part of the 28% that seem to go swept under the rug. As in my bio, it says I have a bachelor's degree in communications. I have a master's degree in urban ministry. I'm the author of this best-selling book called Weekday Remedies, WEAK Day Remedies. I'm the owner of the Two Gethers Foundation. I'm the owner of David A. Gethers Speaks, LLC. I'm the co-owner of the Social Justice Network. And over the past 9 years, I've created frameworks and workshops to help people overcome adversity, barriers, and challenges. I travel across the country sharing this message of hope and inspiration to people all over, because we're all suffering from something. Everybody's not going to go to prison like me. However, everybody has a adversity that they're trying to overcome. Everybody has some type of barrier they're trying to overcome. Everybody has some type of challenge that they're trying to overcome. And so for me, it's 3 simple steps to overcome anything you face in life. Part A is the A, which is your attitude. Then we have B, which is your belief. Then we have C, which is your choices. Now let's unpack that. If you're going to be successful, it starts with having a successful attitude. If you're going to be successful, it starts with thinking that you are a winner and not a loser. If you're going to be successful, you have got to have the attitude that says, I can, instead of I can't. This is how you overcome whatever you're facing. This is how you become the best version of who you are. This is how you stand tall in spite of whatever you've been through in life and say, I am not what I've been through. The tragedy in my life is just an event. It's just a circumstance. It is just a situation. It's not who I am, and it's not who you are. It's just an event. And you have got to realize that there's so much more to your life than the events that have occurred in your life. And so once you get that attitude, and once you realize that you are more than what has happened to you, or you are more than what you've done, that is the first step in overcoming. That is the first step in being successful. That is the first step in living the best life in which you were created to live. So once you have the positive attitude, once you have the right attitude, once you have a strong attitude, now we get into your beliefs. The beliefs is pretty much, what are your morals and your values? Who are you characteristically? What is it that you believe is possible? Because one thing for sure, believe it or not, all of us are schizophrenic. Everybody in the world is a schizophrenic. Not to make light of the disease or the illness, but what do I mean by that? We all hear voices. We hear that positive voice in our head, and we hear that negative voice in our head. That's 2 different voices trying to take us in 2 different directions, trying to take us down 2 different paths. And we have got to determine in our hearts of hearts what it is that we believe. Do you believe the positive things that you're hearing in your ear, or do you believe the negative things that you're hearing in your ear? And you have got to be strong enough to drown out the negative stuff that you hear. You got to be strong enough to counsel the negative words that you hear. You got to be strong enough to ignore the negative things that you hear. Unfortunately, you cannot do nothing about the negative things that you hear, but you can do something about how you respond to the negative things that you hear. And that comes from your beliefs. Are you going to believe what the negative things are telling you? Or are you going to believe what the positive things are saying? And I'm just the type of guy, I'm going to ride on the side of positivity. I'm going to believe the positive things. I'm going to lean into the positive things. I am going to challenge the positive things. I'm going to seek the positive things. I'm going to always pursue that which is good, that which is right, that which is uplifting, that which is positive, that which is helpful. And once you get your belief down pat, now we can move on to the final part of success, which is the choices that you begin to make. If we had time, I would really dive into the decision-making process and how every decision starts with a belief, influence, and an outcome. And once you understand what those are, you begin to make choices. I take me case in point. When I felt like I was not good enough, I made poor choices. And those poor choices hurt my life in many, many ways. But now that I think strongly of who I am, I make good choices. And those good choices are helping my life. Those good choices are advancing my life. Those good choices are improving my life. So you have got to make sure that your attitude is right, make sure your belief is in the right direction. And so now you're going to start making great choices. You're going to start making better choices. And here's the bonus, which is the D. When your attitude is right, when your belief is right, and when your choices are right, it causes you to move in the right direction. It causes you to begin to fulfill your destiny. It causes you to now become the individual you were created to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know we're trying to break this down Barney style for the rest of the military community here, ABCs and now D. But man, I'm sure that took you years to kind of master those ABCs, brother.
Yes, sir. It took me, so I've been out of prison just going on 10 years. This September will mark my 10-year anniversary. And it kind of started, the process started in prison. I started, talking to myself. I started journaling. I started reading books. I started taking the necessary steps so that when my incarceration ended, all of these things that I began to plan out, I can put into practice. And because I put them into practice, we see the results with my life today. The books, the workshops, the speaking events, the organizations that I have founded and co-founded, the people who constantly reach out to me, asking me to give them some hope, to give them some inspiration, to empower them with my story and with my work in order to let everybody see that there is success after tragedy. There is success after adversity. There is success after mishaps, misfortunes, or mistakes.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I love it, man. I'm getting convicted on what you're saying, just some things that I carry for myself in my everyday life, brother. But for everyone that's on the call and listening in and watching in here, we appreciate you coming in here. But also, I want you to be asking yourself, how can you apply ABC and D, attitude, beliefs, choices, and pursuing your destiny in that area that you said that it's kind of neutral, right? Or you answered, hey, from A, B, or C, I'm living my ideal life, not really, to neutral, to I am outstandingly, living my life at the level I want to. Everyone that participated said neutral. So there's areas of life that you guys are coming in, resigned, and guess what? We all still have those. It's totally human. But I want you to be asking yourself, how can you apply this framework, A, B, C, and D, in those areas that you're resigned in? That's what you showed up for here, right? David, is there anything you would add to that?
that's pretty much it, man. And I tell people all the time, man, that it's possible. Transformation is possible. Again, I'll break it down military style. The tragedy is just an event. The transformation is if the reality, the transformation is you becoming somebody new. And then the triumph is walking it out, living it out, leaning into it, and just becoming a better you. And everybody is capable of that no matter what.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's super inspirational, brother. And I think a lot of people need to hear that in this world that like strives to please people. Right. So just thank you for that. I'm going to open it up. I'll open it up for about 30 seconds for anybody that's on the call right now. You can either raise your hand and we can get you in here live to ask a question, or feel free to ask a question in the chat. Victor, thanks for tuning in. We got some comments. Deborah said that her high school mascot is Wildcats. I love it.
That's my high school friend. I've been knowing Debbie 37 years.
Come on.
And we are Wildcats through and through. And I love her dearly. And we got that Wildcat spirit in us.
I love it, man. I feel it. I feel it. So, guys, if you do have a question, feel free to raise your hand. We'll go ahead and allow you to kind of, speak up and talk and ask that question live. Or if you just want to ask it in the chat or submit it in Q&A, we'll give you another 15 seconds to go ahead and put that in. And if nothing comes in, we'll kind of wrap up here. And David, while we're waiting for that, brother, I didn't even know the ABCs were going to be this, man. So I appreciate you kind of breaking that down with the attitude, beliefs, and choices, man. I think for myself, I just get hooked on the belief side. The attitude can somewhat be good, but man, just getting that belief around those areas that I'm resigned, man. I was like, boom, I was over here taking notes.
So, oh yeah, man. The belief is the biggest part of this, because you could be solid in your beliefs and then circumstances can come along and make you challenge your own beliefs or make you rethink your own beliefs, to make you start doubting your own beliefs. And the beliefs for me is a part of your why. It's a part of the foundation of who you are. It's a part of the core of who you are. And for most people, our beliefs are not wrong, that they're deeply embedded in us. Now, can our beliefs be challenged? Can our beliefs be tweaked? Can our beliefs be altered? Yes. But the beliefs are really who you are. And once you know who you are and whose you are, you could begin to live life in the greatest capacity possible. Because I tell people all the time, don't let obstacles make you doubt the destination. Don't let obstacles make you doubt the destination. That's a part of your belief. If you believe in your heart of hearts that getting a high school diploma or getting a college diploma is going to make your life better, then along that journey, you might get an F. Along that journey, a course that you want to take might not be offered. Along that journey, you might have to go from full-time to part-time. Along that journey, you might have to take a semester or two off. But those obstacles should not make you doubt the destination, because the destination is a part of your core. The destination is a part of your why. You're doing this because you believe it's going to give you a better life. You're doing this because it believes it's going to make you a better person. You're doing this because you believe that it's going to open up doors and opportunity for you. Therefore, you've got to complete this all the way to the end, in spite of whatever obstacles you encounter.
Yeah. Yeah, brother. And what I'm getting from what you're sharing is this ABC. You started out with ABC, and that's what allowed you to kind of kick doors on getting that initial bachelor's degree.
Mm-hmm.
This was the framework towards you getting out and overcoming some of those doors that just slammed on you because of a label, a narrative that people threw on you, right? And if you are a veteran that's tuning in that's never been imprisoned or anything like that, you're still fighting narratives every single day, and you know what they are, right? Let's be honest. So how can you overcome those narratives and break through those? leverage these ABCs and you'll fulfill on your destiny. David, where can everyone that's tuning in go and learn more about you? I've already posted your LinkedIn profile inside the chat. So I'm hoping people that don't already know you that have tuned in, go and click that link. But what are some other ways that people can reach out to you if there
So
are?
they can find me on LinkedIn under David A. Gethers. They can find me on Instagram under David A. Gethers. They can find me on TikTok. Yeah, I done joined the TikTok world. They can join me on TikTok under Weekday Remedies, WEAK Day Remedies. They also can go to my website, which is www.dagspeaks@gmail.com. And that way they can reach me in any one of those platforms. And they can also purchase my book via Amazon at just go on Amazon, put in Weekday Remedies, and they'll find the link in order to purchase my book. But man, please feel free to reach out to me for a consultation. Reach out to me if they want me to come to their organizations and speak or do some of my frameworks. I'm reachable all over the place, and I love doing what I do. So I'm looking forward to more people giving me a call.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it, man. I love people like you that pick up your phone call too, man, when people need to speak. And you're that kind of a guy for sure. So, David, man, I just want to thank you, man, for coming in here and open your heart wide open, man. Sharing everything that you shared, and then also, not getting caught up in the victimhood of what happened to you. Right? So many people can get caught up on the victim, like they did this to me, they did that to me. They're always they, and you have decided to equip yourself with a new weapon system to break through these doors that have closed on you, brother. So I appreciate you being that person.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna drop a bomb for everybody's listening. They get to hear it here first because you teased about something, and I just want to chime in on it. So my new book that will be coming out is called Overcoming the Guilt and Shame of Failure.
It is.
Overcoming the guilt and shame of failure, because you're right. So many of us live in this place of guilt, in this place of shame, in this place of victimhood because of a mistake, mishap, or misfortune that took place in our life. And we're not saying that these events are not true. However, what we are saying is this: there's life after the event. There's life after the tragedy. There's life after the adversity. And you can't get caught on the front side of the event. You can't get caught in the middle of the event. It is your God-given right to overcome whatever you've been through, because there's so much life left to live on the other side. And my objective is to get everybody to the other side of whatever it is that they've been through so that they can experience the victory. And so we're going to overcome this guilt, we're going to overcome this shame, and we're going to overcome this victim mentality together so that we can live our best lives.
Yeah, no, I love that, brother. And you're definitely on your way to doing it. You've already been doing it. And even inside this cohort with Bunker Labs, man, you continue to inspire each and every one of us on a weekly basis on that call. So on behalf of them, the Ambitious Fit Network, man, we just thank you for who you are, brother. Because you're.
And I appreciate it, man. I enjoyed this fireside chat, and man, I'm looking forward to the feedback, and we're going to rebroadcast it everywhere we can. And so somebody in the wee hours of the night when they're suffering and when they can't sleep, or when their mind is getting the best of them, they can push the play button on this recording and get what they need, man, in order to be strong.
Yeah. Yeah. And thanks, Brendan, for the comment. This was a good chat. Appreciate you, David. So yeah, so everyone's getting some great value here, which is important. So I just want to kind of throw this over to just thanking everyone that's on the call. Thanks for joining the Ugly Truth, the strategy. Man, say the word for me, Dave.
Tragedy.
That's it. Transformation and Triumph with David Gethers, powered by the Ambitious Vet Network, man. I'm a Marine with not a huge vocabulary. But guys, before you jump off here, we got a 5-minute event feedback survey that's going to pop up right whenever we hit end meeting here. We encourage you to do that so me and David can improve your experience in the trenches of everyday life. Make sure you get that done. Other than that, David, I'll leave you with any parting word, brother.
Yeah, my parting words is live with intention, live with impact, and live with influence.
Boom. That said, we're signing off.